Hello everyone, welcome back to Base Damage. Just want to take a quick moment to remind you that we are affiliates with Japanime Games. They offer a wide variety of board games and card games, including their own original TCG, that being Oshi Push, featuring a variety of different VTubers from Face Connect as well as some other upcoming ones very soon. Please use my affiliate link down below whether you want to try out a new board game or even pre-order new Oshi Push sets coming up very soon. Link will be in the description. Back to the video. Alright, so this week's video is going to be about a new event that I went to this past weekend as of the recording of this. It is still fresh in my mind and I figured go ahead and talk about it a little bit and just tell you my experience overall. Like I said, with the Anime Weekend Atlanta ranting and yapping, I figured try to talk more about the vendor side of things and talk about how the experiences are with each of those, because I do want to give like credit and respect to the organizers and everything for particular events like this where credit is due, and just kind of share like interesting funny things that kind of happen in the community that I just love to yap about. This was an event hosted by Anime Paradaisu in Raleigh, North Carolina. They have their own physical store, their own website, Facebook page, and everything. Please do go check them out. They are wonderful people to work with. I thoroughly enjoy working with them. Not paid to say any of this. This is just my total honest opinions. So they have done other little like kind of anime flea market-ish things before, where in their literally in the parking lot of their storefront, they would rent out the parking lot and line it with like tents and tables and stuff, and would invite vendors to come out and sell your stuff there, whether it was artist alley type stuff, me with like card games and video game type stuff, and just really like have a nice little variety of different things out there. And in the past, having done those, I've done some of their like, basically those events were outdoor, and I've done those before, and I still very much enjoyed those. I thought those were really fun, and on the vendor side of things, extremely profitable. Like there were very affordable tables, and there was so much foot traffic because of those events are free for people just to walk in and do whatever. It's not like you have to pay at the door. Like you don't have to pay admission to get in like you would have to for Anime Weekend Atlanta or Animazement or anything of that nature, which, you know, obviously I still love doing those, still love going to those events and everything. But you got to understand, you're going to have a much larger crowd when people go, oh, entry is free? That's the meme of the guy going full free, you know. But when you have free admission, the people will flock to it. And I think that's always so good. Another good example of this, which I will be talking about at some point, both in future videos as well as in this video. So this event was no different, other than the fact of, instead of outside, it was inside a venue. The tables were a little bit pricier, you know, obviously because they had to upgrade massively. But not only did they upgrade to an indoor location, which worked out perfectly because, you know, then people don't have to weather the elements or anything like, you know, in past, even though there is something funny to say for that as well. People were able to come inside, but it was a 2-day event, whereas their previous events were only 1-day events. Typically, you know, just kind of a couple hours. But for this, it was an all-day thing, which is really good, but it's tough on the back. Let's be real. I still enjoyed myself so much with this, because a 2-day event for the cost of what should be like a 1-day event, for me, like me paying like table-wise and everything, is nothing to shake a stick at when you talk about profit margin and we talk about meeting new people, and we're going to talk about that today, which is just so fun. Meeting and talking to other vendors and everything, you get to build up relations and all that, obviously. So some very fun stuff happened for that I may talk about in this video. I may not. I don't know. But some other fun events coming down the pipeline that I wasn't expecting to be invited to. So I'm very excited for that. But for this one in particular, it was a 2-day event. And as stated before, it overlapped with the Raleigh Retro event on Saturday. We loaded in on Friday to go ahead and kind of start the timeline here. They opened up for people to go ahead and be like, you know, loading stuff in around Friday. And coincidentally enough, my brother Zen And his family, GK, who is one of my one of the artists that I like to commission for stuff, who actually made the Catboy you see on screen, as well as his folks, his daughter, who always calls me uncle, certified Unc Kade, absolutely. They were there, and obviously was able to help them get set up and try to just really, really have each other's backs the entire weekend, and they are some of the most wonderful people I've ever had in my entire life. I'm so happy to know them and be associated with them and have them in my life, So, sorry, a little sentimental there for a second there. But I got all my stuff loaded in really quickly, and then I was able to go over there and help them. With this particular event, it being like an anime flea market style thing, I obviously tried to mainly focus on stuff that was anime themed or anime adjacent stuff. Like in the video game, respect, obviously there was a lot of JRPGs that I would bring. There was a lot of just other anime games. Like I have a One Punch Man game for the Xbox. There was a Demon Slayer one, I think, for the PlayStation. I'm trying to remember like all the stuff that I had. But games like maybe Super Smash Bros. Melee or Crash Bandicoot, because those are kind of like in that vein. Not exactly anime, but close enough that I felt it would fit the theme. I was able to bring a bunch of manga as well. Big shout out to Space Cowboy from the Discord, really good guy. Was able to get a whole bunch of manga from him when we went down to Duluth for regionals. And people ate that stuff up. I have a funny story to tell for that right off the bat. There was one lady came up, this is so funny, where all of the manga that I had was solely from Space Cowboy. And the lady came up, and you get these questions a lot, like, oh wow, you have so much interesting, like interesting wares. Where do you get it all from? And I'll name like a couple places. I try not to give away all my secrets. Space Cowboy is not a secret though. But I told the lady was like, where did you get all this manga from? Just like seemed genuinely interested. And I told her, I was like, well, I got it all from the same guy. And she just kind of gives this nod and kind of oh, that makes sense. I can see he has a type.
What do you mean by that?
And I just like, what? Like, I didn't say this out loud. This is all like inward of me just kind of going, what do you mean he has a type? You had everything from like K-On! to oh my goodness, what was it? Ratman to, which is a great manga, by the way. You should definitely check it out as my phone buzzes. But it was such a wide variety of different genres. There was Bleach in there. I'm just like, there was shonen in there. There was, cute slice of life stuff. There was a little bit of ecchi stuff in there. I'm like, what do you mean he has a type? It's just all these different genres. It was just really funny. And I don't understand what the hell like people think about when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I just thought that was already off the rip. Just really funny. So, but inside this venue, we got set up and everything. It was kind of interesting on Friday because going back to the whole scheduling of the event. This event got delayed in the sense of it should have happened about a month sooner. I'm just kind of like paraphrasing here. But about a month sooner, because of snow, it got delayed and pushed back. But even after they rescheduled it once, a lot of the vendors had to kind of speak up and go, hey, that weekend doesn't work for us. We have other conventions going on that weekend. One of the ones that I actually wanted to be able to go to, and sadly wasn't able to this year, was IbashoCon. Was happening the weekend prior to this. So they're like, oh, we don't want to try to compete with IbashoCon. I'm like, no, that's smart. You don't want to compete with them. But then even with this weekend, with it overlapping with the Retro Raleigh event, which I'm going to give shout outs to the Retro Raleigh people as well. They were very, very wonderful to work with. Because I had already paid for both events. The vendors revoted and chose this weekend, so it got rescheduled twice, basically. They voted for this particular weekend, and I had to call up the Raleigh Retro people and say, hey man, I'm very, very sorry to have to say this. I have another event that I kind of have to do more. It got rescheduled for this weekend because of snow a couple weeks back. I'm very, very sorry. Is there any way that I can get a refund or a credit to a future event? I assumed like maybe like a credit for a future event would work out better for them because then they don't have to get rid of the money. And the guy was like, oh yeah, sure. Well, what works better for you? Which is kind of weird because then I never heard back from him after I said, oh, do you know when the next one is? 2 weeks later, I still hadn't heard back from him. Message back again. He's like, oh, I gave a refund the same day. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you for not telling me. But regardless, they were willing to give me a refund, and I was very, very happy for that because they said they had a long waiting list of other vendors and everything. So it worked out perfectly for them because they still had other people lined up. But I chose this over the Retro Raleigh event, but I still want to do more Retro Raleigh events in the future. Just saying. So, but because of that, and because of like the rescheduling, it overlapping with some other stuff, and there were some other events going on that weekend that I didn't even know about, and I'll talk about those too. So we have the Raleigh Retro and stuff. On Friday when we're loading in, there wasn't a lot of people showing up. At first, I didn't know what to expect for this. But then I realized, like, okay, on Friday, there's people probably still working. And so they probably had to wait until after they got off of work at like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever, pack up and then go run and put up their stuff in, at the venue, which is partially what happened. But then a lot of people also showed up first thing Saturday morning to get their stuff set up. So at first we thought there was going to be a lot less vendors, but then it ended up filling out quite a bit. There were still a lot of no-shows in terms of the vendors because there were people that, instead of canceling one or the other, they decided to do both events. People still went to the Retro Raleigh, and then once Retro Raleigh was done, brought all of their stuff to the venue so that they could have it. They could still be there for Sunday. And I'm like, I understand wanting to be at both events like that, but I feel this was a little bit better. I feel the Anime Paradaisu event was going to be better. So the times for this Saturday, they said the vendors could show up at like 8 o'clock, but the doors wouldn't open till 10 o'clock. So we could still get everything, finish getting stuff ready, finish pricing out some stuff, just getting everything ready for when the doors opened at 10 o'clock. And on Saturday, it ran from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. That is 10 hours of just dealing with people all day, which I'm totally down for it. That's no issue. I'm just saying it was very taxing. So my voice, like today, me yapping, because I'm doing this right as I get back. I haven't had any rest for this. My voice definitely started trying to go a couple times because of how much I talk. And so that many hours, as opposed to, so 10 hours versus the Raleigh Retro event being a one-day thing for 5 hours. Like, obviously, like, I just felt it was much wiser to go with the larger time frame because I have more time at that point to interact with people and do more sales. So I hope that's understandable why I did that, why I chose that one over, chose the Anime Paradaisu event over the other. But, to each their own. Whoever wants to make their decisions in that shape, form, or fashion, that's on them. I'm not going to complain. So this was a very long, taxing event for Saturday, and Sunday was from 10 a.m., same time frame, like come in at 8. Doors open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that's still 8 hours on Sunday, which is still massive. So, really good. So Saturday, it opens up. And it does start out a little bit slow, I will admit. But by 11:30-ish, I want to say, there was a ton of people. To get into the specifics now, after all my other kind of disclaimer shit, there was a lot of people that came to this event. There was people who were like, we didn't know this was going on. And I go, do you know it's a 2-day event? And they go, wait, what? It's 2 days. I'm like, yeah, we're going to be here tomorrow as well, bro. So people were like, oh shit, okay, I can look around today and I'll be back here again tomorrow. And sure enough, I saw a lot of the same customers coming back the next day, Sunday. But then there was also ones that came in on Sunday that, maybe they had to work the day before or whatever, but that's cool. But I still would say, oh yeah, this is a 2-day event. We were here yesterday for 10 hours. And they're like, wait, what? So people like spreading that word can go, oh, like this is something big to look out for in the future. So I hope this event grows to something even bigger in the future. I think that would be amazing if this became like a full-fledged convention type thing. I think that would be absolutely peak. So obviously you had all of the vendors, but they also had other things going on as well. Everything from different raffles going. They had an anime bingo thing. They were like, oh, you can, like, the vendors can donate stuff or whatever for people to win for bingo. They had a maid cafe thing. They had an anime quiz. Like, they had full-blown panels that people could participate in, whether it was karaoke, whether it was another little like dance performance thing, a cosplay contest as well. It was like a mini anime convention. It's just all those events that I just stated were all like at the back, like the very, very back, and they had this little stage and everything to work with. So it has the makings of a much bigger anime convention that I would love for them to be able to get a part of and build towards. So another reason why I want to work with the shop and give them my full attention if it were to overlap with another event. So I feel it's just kind of good to show your support for the people who are building up to something much bigger. So anyway, okay, so Saturday, just doing my thinking here. One, in terms of like the foot crowd, like, typically at a lot of these events, you'll see people showing up in cosplay, but because it felt like a little mini anime convention, there was a lot of different cosplayers. I'm not going to show the pictures of them, but I did see like Honkai Star Rail, a lot of Hell of a Boss, and the Has-Been Hotel group, Genshin, the typical like, nothing super crazy. Like I didn't see anything from like Fate or whatever. A lot of JoJo as well. There was a lot of people obviously showing up for like the maid cafe as well. Like they would just walk around and just make various maid outfits, Lolita outfits and everything. Shout outs to Husky Ninja. I know she loves her some Lolita fashion. So she would have loved to see like some of the stuff for this. I wish I got some pictures for her. I'll have to remember that in the future. So, you had everything in between that. Like I said, this is what I mean when I said it felt like going to like Animazement. You had all the people cosplaying, but then you had just as many like normal people just kind of rocking up and looking in going, what is going on here? Maybe we like converted some people to like anime culture or something. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be cool if that's someone's like origin thing. I went to this random thing for Anime Paradaisu, and now I watch anime every weekend. Or yeah, that'd be funny. Let's see. In terms of the vendoring side, obviously, like I said, I saw a couple people that I hadn't seen in years. There was one good buddy of mine. Shout out to my buddy Terrence. He had shown up, and I have not seen this man since before COVID. And we used to go hang out for Yu-Gi-Oh and everything. And I hadn't thought of this man in a long time. He was a very, very good guy. Like I said, I mean, shit, I've known him, honestly, since, like, my Yu-Gi-Oh days back in, like, 2009, 2010. But I still would see him at, like, going to locals and going and seeing, like, different little events and whatnot for card game-related stuff. But I hadn't seen this man since before COVID. Because he shows up and he has a 4-year-old kid. And I'm like, yo, what's up? So when I saw him walking down, I had to run up. I was like, in the middle of talking to another vendor, I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I run up to him and I'm like, what is up, man? Like, I was so happy and ecstatic. He sees me. It takes him a second. He's like, wait, you, like he said my actual name. He said, Billy, like, runs up to me and we give like the biggest hug. I'm like, bro, it has been literal years. Like probably, I'm not kidding when I say like easily 6 like years or so. And he has a kid now. And I'm like, I said hi to the kid and everything. She was being all shy. It was adorable. It was just so wild to see this. And to just so see like him, and there was other people as well that I saw. Some other vendors that I had seen at other events. Not just vendoring there, but like say when I went to the NC Comic Con in Durham, there was this one couple that was beside us selling these not freeze dried. Is it freeze dried? Air dried? Anyway, it was like Yeah, it's freeze dried. Freeze dried like different foods and like everything from like ice cream bars that are freeze dried to various candies and all these other things. And one, I definitely bought stuff from them at the NC Comic Con, but they had such good food and everything, such good like little snack things to have. I was buying several things at the Comic Con. I was so happy. I was like, this is delicious. Like freeze dried ice cream sandwiches are fucking delicious. I'll be the first to say that. So I got to see them. I hadn't seen them since the NC Comic Con. They told me about some other events and stuff they were going to be going to. So safe travels to them as well. I really, really do hope that they have a good time. I think one of them said they were going to TwitchCon. If I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't them, it was another vendor that I was talking to. Good friend of the channel, Ash. She was there, which she does work with Twitch as well for like going to some events and whatnot. There's some anime conventions and whatnot where other conventions will have booths to advertise their upcoming conventions and stuff. Like, say, in the vendor hall behind me, there was one for GalaxyCon, which I don't really want to deal with. But, I mean, obviously, they can do whatever the hell they want, if they buy the space. But me personally, in terms of, like, say, the NC Comic Con and stuff like that, it's not been a good experience dealing with GalaxyCon stuff. That's just me personally. But overall, they're not horrible. I just would rather go somewhere else type thing. But anyway. But Ash would go and, some funny stuff, she's actually done for the channel as well. And like I said, big shout outs to her. She's wonderful. She came up in there. She's like, oh, hey, what's up? And like saying hi to her. I hadn't seen her in months. I thought that was so cool. She had mentioned a couple things like sales going on a while back that I took advantage of. I told her like, oh, I had bought this, and this from those sales going on. Some figures and whatnot. She was like, oh, heck yes. I told her I bought a bunch of stuff. So she was very, very happy to see that I was able to profit off of those sales very easily. She has bought sealed card sealed card boxes, what I mean. But she has bought sealed boxes of like the Dot Hack card game, Weiss, Schwarz, and other stuff from me, and opened them live on stream before. So that's why it's just really cool to work with her on that. But she goes to she goes vendoring mainly for Twitch, like mainly like showcasing Twitch stuff because she does stream and everything. She also comes in and she's like, hey, are they pet friendly here? And I was like, yeah, I've seen people walking around with dogs all day. In fact, my buddy Zen, they had a dog with them. Granted, it's a service dog, but I did see other people coming in with non-service dogs. I told her just check with Miss Tabitha from Anime Paradaisu just to make certain it was cool. And she's like, oh, absolutely. She comes back in like 30 minutes later with this big husky. And I'm like, comes over there and just like playing with her and everything. It's just, you love to see the fur babies 1,000%. So, the dog's name was Bear, and I'm like, he was fluffy like one. He was just so adorable and so happy. Fed him some pizza. He was like, oh, I'll take pizza, man. So he loved him some pepperonis. Really cool to see her. Really cool to see like and like I said, other people showing up with animals and everything. It's just really cute. There was a couple other people we had seen from some of the museum events that we had done before in the past. There was one of the girls who ran a Sanrio event in. Sorry, I had to look it up real quick. One of the girls who ran the Sanrio events over in Greensboro, North Carolina, and she also did one in Raleigh before, but I know that she kind of bounces back between the two. Saw her. I hadn't seen her in months as well, so that was really cool to see her. Chloe is her name. She is a very, very wonderful person. I definitely want to be able to attend some more events for her in the future. Let's see. One of the guys across from us, he was such a cool dude. Like one of those, like kind of like me in terms of like really easy to talk to and just like conversate basically about anything and everything. Right. He and I ended up talking a lot about the V card that GamerSups did with like all the different VTubers and everything. I had to explain how some of the card mechanics worked and everything, and he was like, "Oh, oh God, that's horrible. I don't want to play that. But he had a lot of the merch and whatnot for like the binders, the card sleeves, stuff like that. I'll try to see if I believe I took pictures of a lot of the stuff. I'll show them on screen if I remember to do so. If I took pictures of them. If I didn't, I'm so sorry. Speaking of pictures, one of the pictures I did want to share. This was the first event that I had to do something really funny, and this was a great conversation starter. I'm not even kidding. My mother, Mama Kade, she had made, she does painting and whatnot, and I did not inherit any painting creativity, but she loves doing these little paintings and everything, and I'm like, Mom, it would be, like, would you be willing to make me some signs? And she's like, yeah, what are you looking for? I'm like, I just kind of want, like, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It would be cool if there was, like, some designs or something, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like, could you get one that tells me, and this is something that we've kind of had to institute due to some people doing some shady stuff in the past, not anything recent. It was, like, way further back. We just finally started kind of putting our foot down on this, which was, I wanted one sign to say, no refunds on card purchases. And by cards, I don't mean trading cards. I mean if someone pays with a card. If someone pays in cash, I'm more than willing to give them a refund. But if someone pays with a Visa, MasterCard, debit card, credit card, whatever, any of those, I was like, we can no longer do refunds on those because of the fees involved. I get charged fees whether, no matter what. And if someone's like, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I bought this, I didn't realize I had a copy of it. Let's say if somebody bought a video game. I know this is it sounds really petty, but it does matter when it's bigger purchases. And I'll give 2 examples. Let's say the first example hasn't happened. The second example I'm going to give actually has happened, and I will explain both. Even if it was, like, say someone buys a video game. Someone buys Kingdom Hearts 2. And it's like a $10, $15 game, whatever. They pay for it on card. If they brought that back, even though it's only $10 or $15, I would tell them, I'm sorry, you paid for it with a debit card. I cannot refund you. Like, that's what that sign is there for. Because I have had for example 2, I have had a thing in the past. Someone paid in cash for a console. And how do I put this? I kind of had a feeling that the guy was going to be back, if that made sense. I may have mentioned this on a previous video. I don't remember. This was at a Raleigh Retro thing last year, where the dude came up and we had a complete in-box Xbox. Oh my goodness, what was it called? The Series X, the Xbox One Series S. Fuck Microsoft. Anyway, they wanted this particular thing. They wanted this particular Xbox. They thought they were they were picking up one particular thing. They were trying to pick it up for a Christmas present for someone else. And I'm like, that's cool. They did pay me in cash. So the end result of this story is a good thing. Just keep that in mind. But he picked up a phone and said, hey, I got it. Like after he purchased it from me and he was walking away, he picked up his phone and said, hey, I got it. Where are you at? What do you mean? I could hear him go, what do you mean? Hold on, I'll be right there. It hangs up and then continues walking off. Something because of those last 2 sentences made me go, he's going to be back. Shit. And I kind of already had to make a decision right then and there. If he came back because he had paid in cash, I would be willing to give him a refund. And sure enough, about 15 minutes later, he came back and said, hey, I thought I was looking for the Series S. They're looking for the Series X. I'm very, very, very sorry. And I was like, dude, no worries. Because you paid in cash, I can give you a refund. I'm going to be completely and totally open with you. If you had paid for it on card, because that was a multi-$100 purchase, I said, if you had paid for it on card, this refund would not happen, because that's a huge fee that I have to pay regardless. And he says, completely understood. So he was very cool about that. And we didn't run into an issue with that because he had paid in cash. And I was able to give him the refund. Everything was cool. He even still tossed like $10 at me for the headache. And I'm like, I felt bad for taking it, but at the same time, I'm not exactly in a position where I can refuse that. So I said, I appreciate, man. No worries. No harm, no foul, right? So, but I got like $10 off of I still made $10 from the thing and got the console back. So dude was really cool about it and everything. So no worries. But anyway, sorry. I got one sign made that said no refunds on card. So that was the first time I brought this to an event and everything, because I got it around Christmas time. The next sign that I had made was for a specific reason, and luckily I never ran into this once during this entire event, and I'm very, very happy for this. Probably not going to be the same thing. This sign's going to be extremely useful in like 2 weeks from recording of this. The next one said, we do not buy graded cards or graded games. This is a huge one. This is going to be this is going to be like the sign. It's literally going to turn into that meme of don't make me tap the sign, But the reason being is we will go to events, whether it's Retro Raleigh, whether it's the Greenville Unplugged, which is what I'm going to in 2 weeks. There's a Geek and Grub gaming convention as well. People come up to those with those items. I've only ever been asked this for like graded games once or twice, but I've lost count on how many people come up to me and go, "Hey man, do you buy Pokemon slabs?" And you're gonna hear a Kade rant in a moment here. This is not good. But I hate having to deal with anyone who thinks that they are making money off of getting graded cards. It is the biggest scam in the world. Disclaimer, this is Kade's personal opinion. This does not reflect the opinions of maybe people in the Discord or other people I've associated with in the past. This is solely Kade's opinion here. Fuck off with graded cards. Fuck off with them. I don't want them. Yes, it's kind of cool if you do. I understand there are people who are collectors. And they're like, hey, I want to preserve this, for Weiss example, I want to preserve this signed card, this SP. That's cool. But you could do it yourself. There's ways of like doing it personally that I've shown on the channel before, where you can get the slabs and put the cards in a protective slab yourself. But to send it off to insert name here, I don't want to like start beef with any of the card grading companies. Any of these different card grade companies, and you somehow get it back. Oh, it's a 10. It's a perfect. It's a black label. Whatever. Insert fancy name here. Whatever. That's cool. I don't want it. You've turned what is like $100 signed card into a block that you expect to get thousands of dollars for. It is so aggravating. And I don't just mean this with Pokemon. People do this with Weiss. People do this with Digimon. I've had people come up with, not Vanguard. What was the other one? Shadowverse. I'm sorry. I've had people come up with Shadowverse cards graded. Grand Archive graded happened like one time. It was kind of funky. But that is such a huge, huge thing that I hope people wake up and they go, damn, I wasted a bunch of money on graded cards. And I hope the graded card market just collapses. I really do. Anyway, people come up to me at events and they'll be like, hey, do you want to buy some Pokemon slabs? And I've had to politely go, like, there's sometimes I indulge them, but 9 times out of 10 I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But now I can have a sign up that hopefully they just see the sign and go the fuck the other way. Like because I don't want to buy anything Pokemon graded. I'll take a look at the cards because I just want to see the shiny artwork. Like say if they bring up graded Weiss cards to me, I want to see what they've gotten graded because I know the prices more of Weiss cards as opposed to I don't know like the starting prices for like a bunch of Pokemon cards and everything. So I got a sign made for this. So here's coming back to the Anime Paradaisu event. I took this sign. I had both of these signs up: the no refunds on cards and this. And I legit had like probably 10, 15 people ask me, do people bring up graded cards a lot? Or I had people ask, I didn't know you could get video games graded. And yes, there is a whole market for getting video games graded, which is also kind of weird. I'm not going to comment on that one today, but it was funny. It was just really funny to see people's like reaction to just this sign existing and like going, wait, that's a thing? Like, I had to explain that to some people. And I also kind of pitched them the same thing. I said, oh, it's a scam, because I want to go ahead and keep people from thinking, oh, I can make money off of this. I tell them, oh, it's a scam. Like, don't deal with it. Because if someone's asking me for my honest opinion on it, that's what I'm going to tell them. But I had those signs, and luckily, we didn't have any what I call backpack vendors coming up and like say, hey, I got all these wares. You want to take a look at them or whatever. Didn't really have that for this event, and I'm kind of surprised on that. Now, I have had other events, like say at Retro Raleigh, where dude came up, had a whole box of a PS2 and a whole bunch of PS2 games. And I told him, yeah, dude, I'll buy that off of you, because it wasn't like anything crazy. It wasn't like, oh, here's this like random PS2 game that's like, $200-$300. But the PS2, it was like a PS2 Slim and a whole bunch of cordless, a whole bunch of wireless controllers for the PS2. And I was like, that's actually really cool. And then, like I said, a whole bunch of games. Several of those sold at this event. Like, say, like the Retro Raleigh thing, I got that. I like when people come up to me with games and stuff, I'm very willing to be like, oh, you're sure. I would. Obviously, I can't give you full value on it, but I would be willing to give you something if you like my offer. We can talk. If you don't like my offer, I'm so sorry. I hope you can get rid of it somewhere else, type deal. And I do like preface that before I even start looking at the games, just so people understand. I've never really gotten someone going, oh, damn, I was hoping for full value. I've never really gotten that. People do seem to understand that, like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm not going to get full value. And like, I'm glad that they're very understanding of that. There have been times where I've made an exception on that. Like, say if it was a video game that I wanted for my personal collection, and that's the thing. I'm very straight up and honest. If someone asks me like, hey, are you getting this to resell or are you getting this for personal? I'm very open to like tell them, like, be honest with them of, yeah, I'm going to resell this or I'm going to get this for personal. So I have had someone before like I'm trying to remember what game it was, and I don't remember. I want to say it was like Zone of the Enders or something. Someone brought up like Zone of the Enders or something. It was some PS2 game. And I told them, I'm like, I'm willing to give you more value for this because I want this for personal collection. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. So there are times that I've done that. So I've worked with people on that, and it's only if I truly was like, damn, I really want this game because I had it like during my childhood or my college days or something of that nature. Like I would want certain things like that. So, but even that hasn't really happened, but so much. But for the most part, I do preface that there was only, we do have a story for Sunday, and there was only one group of 2 kids that tried to like do some trading with me. And that was the only thing that happened the entire weekend. But that's a really fun story we're going to talk about in a second here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to state for Saturday. It's mainly the fact that it was so huge. The fact that there was so much foot traffic. The fact that there was so many people showed up to this. I made a killing. I did really, really well. I'm not going to say exact numbers, but it was a very good weekend. Even day 1 was really, really good. I made more on day 1 than I made in the entirety of Anime Weekend Atlanta. 4 days at Anime Weekend Atlanta, not counting expenses and other stuff that I also had to pay for either event, I made more at like this major, everyone knows this anime convention. I made more than that in one singular day. I'm just saying. That's how good that is. So, and I did shit at Anime Weekend Atlanta. So I felt that was really good, and obviously by the end of the second day, obviously I had more than covered all of my expenses for the entire venture up there, whether it was food, hotel, etc., all that. Like it completely and totally covered everything and then some. So I'm trying to think if there's any other stories for Saturday before we get into Sunday. Because Sunday is where one of my favorite, one of my favorite stories is, and I thought this was just so cool. I guess the only other thing really, kind of to note for both days, but also mainly Saturday, is the fact of, what I stated before, seeing other vendors that I hadn't seen in a long time. Talking to new vendors and establishing those relations. And overall, just, talking with a lot of new people. One of the newer things I did do both days was, at previous events, people have asked me about Instagram. They're like, oh, hey, sure, I would ask them, oh, do you have a Discord to add you on? They're like, oh, I don't have Discord, but I have Instagram. I'm like, that's a thing? People, message up there? Because I'd never messed with it. And they're like, yeah, there's a lot of people that use it. And that actually turned out very well for another endeavor. So I do have... It's not a base damage Instagram, but it's a Kade Instagram. Specifically for these events and stuff. Alright, so that's enough yapping about Saturday. I'm trying to think of... I don't think anything else, super crazy happened for that. If I forgot something, I'm so sorry. I just got distracted because I thought somebody was knocking at the door. Moving on to Sunday. Like I said, Sunday was where a bunch more vendors showed up. But there was still, a lot of no-shows, which was kind of weird. That's whatever. But in terms of the other customers and dealing with a lot of people, it went really well. There was a lot of... one of the other big things, too, was going back to something Space Cowboy did as well. He made a bunch of these different pins, little badges and stuff like that. That he made a big batch of them and handed them to me at the regionals and was like, hey, if you would just, hey, pass these out, see if people like them. And there was a lot of Hololive ones. There was a couple of Nikkei ones, One Piece ones, and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of people really enjoyed those, especially, one, it's a freebie. They're going to love that anyway. But I was like, yeah, no, if you want to, feel free to, if they, complimented a Hololive, item that I had, because I had, some Hololive play mats and sleeves and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, hey, yeah, if you're a fellow Hololive fan, here, we got some pins and whatnot. Feel free to take one, just by all means, it's free. And that's always, a good thing to get people in with anyway, is having, free things to pass out and everything, which I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to pay Cowboy for, some of this stuff is, I know he keeps making just stuff for free and just is like, oh, here, you can have this. And I'm like, dude, I need to reimburse you. He's such a good guy. We had a bunch of stuff like that. Like I said, a bunch of little cool things like that. I guess one of the big sales was one of Moroku's Gundams sold. He had this really big Zaku. It was $150. That sold. That was really cool. There was one other big thing that's been happening is people buying up game guides. Because one of the Retro Rally events I went to, there was one of the customers that I've known for a while said, oh, hey, if you have strategy guides, bring and sell them. Because now apparently a lot of people have just collected all the games that they wanted. Now they want to kind of go back and pick up the strategy guides and stuff for them as well. So I think that's really, really cool. So that's one thing that I ended up selling quite a bit of. One of them, there was this chunky fucking Skyrim strategy guide manual thing. I'm not kidding you. That thing had to have been 2 inches thick. And in the back of it, it had one of those maps, had a fully comprehensive map of all of Skyrim, all the towns and other little other little things for it. That was still in the back of it, hadn't been torn, hadn't been taken out or whatever. That was a big thing that sold. Oh, that was a heavy joker. That thing sold. I was like, oh damn, that box is gonna be 10 pounds lighter. In addition to obviously all the manga and stuff. There was another big one. There was a thing that me and Moroku had picked up from Limited Run a while back. It was a collector's edition thing of a game called The Missing. And I thought it was a Switch game at first, but it ended up being a PlayStation 4 game that sold as well, and I was very, very happy that sold. That was so cool. A bunch of card stuff sold. I sold out of Dot Hack, and I sold out of one of the boxes of Colorful Stage, which I need. So I need to get more Hatsune Miku cards at some point, because that always does really well. Especially some more Dot Hack packs. That'll be really, really good. I need to put in the order for that very soon this week. I'm trying to think. One of the big things I also brought was like Pokemon Center items. By that, I mean there is like an official store called the Pokemon Center, and they have card sleeves, they have deck boxes and stuff like that. And there was an event we went to in Wilmington like a long while back that was selling a bunch of these for like extremely cheap. Like I'm going to say like $10 or something, like $5 or $10 like a pack or a deck box. And then they were like, we've been holding on to this stuff for so long, we're going to do like a buy two, get one free sale. And I'm like, yes, I know to stock up on this stuff. So I brought a bunch of those. And not even before we opened on Saturday, one of the other vendors came over, saw those, like the Pokemon Center deck boxes, and said, I'll take your entire stock. Not because they wanted to resell them, because I had them for like their actual price. They said they just wanted them because they are that big of a fan of like the Pokemon TCG and whatnot. They actually want to play. So they got some sleeves, they got the deck boxes that I brought and everything. So that was really cool. I had been sitting on those for probably the better part of a year or so, and then just decided, you know what, I should take those to this event. Anyway, what other cool things sold? I'm just trying to think of a lot of the different, like there was a lot of different games that sold. We have been sitting on for a while. The mystery bags were a big hit again. They weren't as big as some previous events. We got back up there at the same time the next Sunday. I walked around, talked to a couple other vendors, because my stuff, I really didn't need to straighten up my stuff too terribly much. I adjusted a few things for presentation purposes, but it wasn't really crazy. It continued like normal, and after about noon, it picked up and was just as busy again as it was the previous day on Saturday. So it just took a little bit, people sleep in on the weekend, that's totally fair. But by like noon, it was packed again. People coming in cosplay, people coming in with their pets, just everybody going through, looking at all these different things and just trying to like just see anything and everything. Because I guess to break it down a little bit as well, in this, a lot of these events as well, like for this one especially, the main thing that you're going to see is what is called as Artist Alley creators, which is people who've made their own custom art. They made their own custom figures or different art pieces. Actually, I have a picture of one that I actually ended up buying from one of the other really cool vendors. And that's where they had made these 3D printed frame, not picture frames, but it is pictures, but you could put them in a frame of different, like they were textured basically of different like games and different anime characters and stuff like that. And they had done some Honkai Star Rail stuff. So I got one of their things they got was where they had done the art of one of the light cones for Star Rail for Castoris. And I saw this and they had it in their markdown. And I'm like, oh, why is this so cheap? It's like, oh, I just had it for a minute. Nobody wanted it. And I'm like, I want this. I will happily take this. Let me run back to my booth real quick to grab $10. And she said, absolutely. So we hadn't opened or anything just yet. It was still like early in the morning. I ran back over there. I swiped. I was like, I'll make this money back. It's whatever. Swiped 2 5s and ran back over there. And I'm like, I definitely want this. So that was so funny. And that was so good. So just as an example, so that's really big. Another big thing I'll get at different events is like the acrylic charms and stuff like that of people's different artwork for characters, whether that be from Honkai, whether that be from Fate. What do I have on my wall here? VTubers. Hell, I just forgot. Oh yeah, I have like Hololive VTubers, Fate characters, a lot of Fate actually, Final Fantasy 14, stuff like that. I got a bunch of stuff on my wall over here. So that's one of my weaknesses, is buying like acrylic charms. Surprisingly, I didn't buy any of those at this event, but I also didn't really go looking for them at this event. I was busy enough that I didn't have that opportunity, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing that I shouldn't say it's a bad thing. I mean, it's bad that I didn't get any new stuff, because I want to support the artists and whatnot as well that do go to these events, but also it's good for my wallet by not spending that much. The biggest thing that I bought was the Casterus thing the entire weekend, and so that was really cool. But I will take a picture of that and show that as well. It's so gorgeous, and they're like, if you hold it up with like a backlight, it pops even brighter, and it looks so good. And all of their artwork was stuff like that. Anyway, that's what you're going to see a lot of at these events, is primarily artist alley creators making stuff. And that's a big thing, say, for like Anime Weekend Atlanta as well. You had more artist people than people like me going and reselling video games and card game stuff. When to break down those, I was one of 2 video game sellers at this event for the Anime Paradaisu, and I was one of 2 card sellers at this event. So between me and 2 other people, so these 3 people, me being one of them, we had the market on games and cards. No one else was really selling those, because a lot of them were no-shows from having instead gone to the Raleigh Retro stuff. And instead, all the artists came to this, which I also like. Being indoors with the artist stuff, I think is a lot smarter and a lot better. So that's really good for them. So that was an interesting thing. Seeing that, like, going to an event like this, knowing that I had basically, and I don't mean this in any slight against the other people, not having a lot of competition. When I'm only having to compete with 1, maybe 2 other people, I usually make it out on top. I don't always do, but I end up doing very, very well. Because then if people are going there specifically for cards, they're going specifically for video game stuff. They're not having to choose between 12 different vendors. They're only having to go between 1 or 2, the 2 people. And then me and that other person or other 2 people are getting all of the profits. We're getting all of the foot traffic for that. Instead of it being widespread, like, someone coming in to look for specific artist stuff. It's going to be much more widespread, and you're going to have a lot of competition with the artist as opposed to the resellers. Anyway, that's just my observation. I'm certain there's exceptions to these as well. I'm just making my observations. So Sunday as well. Let's get into the funny story. This is so good. Oh, okay, 2 funny stories. One not as funny. The second one, the first one's kind of sad, but the second story is just, this is peak. This is so great. The first story was one of the vendors across from me was a lady doing face painting. And that felt kind of interesting, and I don't mean this against her in the slightest. She seemed like a very, very wonderful lady the entire time. But she did not look like she wanted to be there. That's a side point. That's a side thing, because honestly, she didn't get that much. Like at first on Saturday, she got a lot more business on Sunday, and I'm very, very happy for her for this. But on Sunday, there was this one family, this husband, wife, and 2 kids, 1 girl, 1 boy. Both of the kids wanted to get face paint stuff, so they go up there, and I'm talking with the dad about like some Dragon Ball Z stuff and like other merch that I had, while the mom was dealing with the kids with the face paint. And the lady was very nice. When she had customers, she was talking to them. She was very nice. But when she didn't have customers, she was like, she just had that look of, why are we here? Just to suffer, like type thing. So she was like not having a good time with that regard. But then it got even worse for her, because the little girl went first and she got her face paint thing. And it was supposed to be some kind of like butterfly princess theme thing. And it looked good. Just looking at it, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. That is precious. This little girl wasn't having it. I don't know what, I mean, it's kids. It's whatever. I don't know what she was thinking it was supposed to be. But she looked in the mirror that the lady had right there, and she just started bawling her eyes out. She started crying so much, and I felt really bad for her. I'm so sorry. The little brother's like hopping up in the chair like, me next, me next. Meanwhile, the face paint lady's trying to do damage control. And she's like, oh, you want me to change it up? You want me to change it up? Like I felt really bad for both of them. And the little boy's just kind of sitting in the little chair where the people were supposed to sit for the face paint. And just kind of just looking there like, when is it my turn, man? But he was very patient. Eventually he got his, but the little girl like looked at it and she just did not like how it looked on her face. Like I don't know if she just was scared by it or what, but it was really cute. But also just like, I felt really bad for the face paint girl. It was just really funny. So, okay, the really good story. It's really interesting. I know I ranted before about the people trying to get graded cards and stuff, but I do have people try to come up and say, hey, do you trade stuff? And I will, depending on what it is. These two kids came up. One looked to be like, I'm going to say like 9 or 10 years old. And the other one was probably like 12. Like somewhere there. That's my guess, because one of the kids had like a full like foot of like height on him compared to the other kid. They come up to me, and one of them is holding and I think I took a picture. If not, I'll like put a picture on screen. It was a Funko Pop, and I typically don't deal with Funko Pops, but this was really funny. A Funko Pop of one of the like Super Saiyaman Gohan from DBZ. And I'm like, and curiosity got the better of me. I'm like, I mean, what do you want? Like I didn't know if they thought I was going to buy it from them or whatever. They're like, hey, can we trade this for something else? And curiosity, due to me being, Catboy avatar, curiosity got the better of me. It's like, what do you mean by that? Like, what are you hoping for? And they're like, we're trying to go around and trade up stuff. And like, we're trying to see what we can trade, what big stuff we can get by trading stuff at the event. And I have no problem with this. This is totally fine. I'm like, what do you want? They said, you got the EA Messenger bag over there. And I think I talked about this for the AWA video as well. It's like, we want that. This was an item I got for free, by the way. The EA bag I got for free. And I'm like, I think about it. And I'm like, I want to, there was a part of me that said, I want to see what these kids can do. I want to see what they can trade and what they can get. I said, you know what? Sure, you got yourselves a deal. And I took the Funko Pop, and we shook on it. They took the messenger bag, and I said, before you go, show me what else you can trade. You're trying to go around trading. I'm very curious as to what you're able to get for that, and like whatever else you trade today. Like show me what you end up getting if that's cool. And they had the biggest smile on their faces, like heck yeah. And I think, which in a moment I'll explain why, but I think they were kids belonging to like another vendor or something, and that's totally cool. Like I said, I'll explain that in a minute here. So I took the Funko Pop. I looked up the price of it. It was like $40, $45. I put it for $30, $35. Put it up there. 30 minutes later, the Funko Pop sold. So I'm like, okay, cool. Somebody wanted the Funko Pop. Totally cool. Whatever. I typically don't buy Funko Pops from people, but like I said, or trade or anything of that nature, but I wanted to see where this went. A few minutes later, the kid comes back by and shows me a completely different figurine. They don't have the bag on them anymore. They have a figurine. I forget what it was. And I was like, hey, dude, that looks really cool. I don't remember what it was. They run off in another direction. They come back running in the other direction eventually. One of them is holding a giant, I mean giant, I mean it's half the kid's like size, of a Funko Pop, a Charmander Funko Pop. It's a Pokemon for those who don't know. And this thing is huge. And I'm like, what is this? Like once again, I'm going, yo, this is so cool. And I point at it and I go, that's awesome. And I'm so impressed by this. I'm so thoroughly impressed by this. And they keep coming, they keep trying to trade, this, that. But like, so I see them eventually. If anybody's ever heard the joke about like a guy trading going on a trade quest, trading a paperclip and eventually getting a Lamborghini. Like, it's that mentality of like how much can you, kind of like apparently it's also like a trend people are trying to do on like, from what Zen told me, like people are trying to do it on like TikTok and whatnot, of like trying to keep like trading up, like getting a little bit more value each time they trade something. And I'm like, that's cool. I kind of like this. This isn't like a bad trend. I think this is interesting. And it also kind of teaches the kids like bartering skills and trying to like understand the value of things, not just money, but also of the things that they're trying to trade for. And that's some interesting like worldly knowledge that I'm glad these kids are getting by doing this. Eventually, I see them come back up to me, but I'm talking to a customer. The customer wants to get one of my mystery bags. And I think this is where it went downhill. Where he gets the mystery bag, he opens it up, the customer, and looks in it, is like, yo, this is cool. He pulls out like it was like one of the Xbox ones. He likes the games that are in there. There was some other stuff I had tossed into the bag. And he's like, this is so cool. Thank you so much. And I could see one of the kids, the older one, his eyes got really big. Like, yo, we can get what in these mystery bags? And he comes up to me. And they show me, and I'll take a picture of this as well, because I ended up getting this, but I'll explain. They end up going, hey, can we trade this stuff as well? And I'm like, what you thinking? They had a Deku figure that had a price tag of $20 on the thing, but I need to double check and make certain that's the actual value of it. But once again, I didn't really care, because then he goes, and we have this art piece of, it was Goku. It was like on a canvas, like style. Like, I'm trying to think. Once again, I'm not an artisty person. I'm so sorry for my butchered explanation on this. It was basically this frame on a particular type of fabric, but it was a painting basically of Goku on this fabric. They're like, hey, can we trade these? Because on the painting thing, there was a price tag that said $30. And he saw one of my, the other big mystery bag that I had, the most expensive one that I had, was a $50 Xbox mystery bag, where there was a bunch of merch that I shoved into this thing as well, and more games and whatnot. He said, both of these equal $50. Can we trade this for that mystery bag? And I looked at both the items, and here's where it kind of came into an issue. This is also why I mentioned the Artist Alley stuff. I do not feel comfortable selling, like, in this regard, if I were to trade and get both these items, I would not feel comfortable trading that Goku like painting, because that's someone else's art. Not just in that, like, one, they're in that particular venue. I feel that's not fair to them. It's whatever. I mean, the fact that they traded and got, it to begin with, I mean, that's whatever. I looked at him, I said, hey, I don't mind trading for the Deku figure, because I had like some $20 mystery bags. Maybe he wanted one of those instead. But I told him I do not feel comfortable trading for the Goku painting, because that's someone else's artwork, and I just didn't feel comfortable selling that. The kid, this is where I said they had to be like kids of one of the vendors there, because both of them nodded and said, that's fair. That makes sense. They immediately understood this. And this is them immediately grasping and understanding vendor etiquette. And I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to have to explain it more to them, but they both immediately were just like, that's fair. Understandable. No worries. Like, so it just kind of really reinforced the fact that they probably have, like, their parents are vendors, and they've had to see this and deal with this a whole bunch before. And for that, the kids have my utmost respect, like 1,000%. I thought that was so cool. So the kid says, okay, but what about the Deku figure? And if I bring you $30? So that's where this trading venture went down. I'm like, okay, well, you're not trading up anymore. You're just straight up buying stuff. But I looked at him. I said, okay, I want to see what else he does. I want these kids to succeed, right? I go, sure. if you can bring me $30 and the deck, and I will do that in the Deku figure for the $50 mystery bag. Because I'm like, I probably could still sell the Deku figure for like $20, whatever. I don't care. And the kid's like, yes, we'll be right back. They run off. They come back and he has the money. I'm assuming he had to get it from his folks or whatever. It's whatever. I give him I give him the bag, and they're like, can we open it right now? Okay. I love seeing this when people get the mystery bags. They all like, there's a lot of people that ask, do you mind if I open it now? And I'm like, yeah, by all means. Because I like to see the reaction on their faces. It's the same thing when people would get like packs of cards from me, whether it's Weiss cards, Dot Hack, Pokemon, whatever. And seeing them open it, and if they get something really, really cool, I love seeing the excitement on their faces for that. So that's really big for me as like a vendor. So seeing them go, can we open it now? I'm like, yeah, go for it, big buddy. He pulls out, like I said, there was merch in there. There was a lot of games in there. And they both look excited for it. And like, you could tell the kids are like, yo, this is so cool. Like I loved that. So then they go, okay, we might be back in a little bit. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no, I see where this is going. They want more mystery bags. So this is where they go from the trade up to gambling. And they just want to play the gamba, but I'm making money off of it and I don't care. They come up to me, they like maybe, I want to say like another 10, 20 minutes later, they come up to me and with an entire stack of Xbox games, different from the ones that they had gotten from the bag, the mystery bag from me. And I'm like, oh, they must have traded to the other vendor, to the other video game vendor. They come back and say, the exact words were, how much store credit will this get me? Like, just hands me like the stack of like 5 or 6 games. It's like, how much store credit would this get me? And I'm like, what are you wanting? He's like, I want legitimately dead in the eye. I want another mystery bag. And I'm like, okay, this is definitely now you're just not trading up anymore, buddy. The Lamborghini is no longer. I say this, I'm like, the Lamborghini is getting further from your view. You know, just whatever their end big goal was going to be, it was slowly getting further away from them. But I'm like, okay, no, I want to see what these kids will do. And I price up the games, and I'm like, okay, I can give you like $25 store credit, quote unquote. I realize you can't see my air quotes as I'm saying this with a PNG. And they go, that's great. You know what? If you could just get me one of the mystery bags, we're even. Which the mystery bags were $20. I'm like, you're missing out on $5, whatever. Sure, kid, go for it. He grabs a PlayStation 1. And he opens it. He doesn't really seem as happy about the PlayStation games that were in that one. But he was like, okay, no, this is cool. You could see the gears turning in his head, trying to figure out, like, okay, what can I trade this for? Like you could still see him he's in that merchant mode, I want to call it. Trying to figure out what he can do, what he can trade it for, or which of the things has value. He's analyzing it. I'm like, we're cool with that? He's like, yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm like, okay, have a good one. And they run off, and they don't come back to me. They don't come back to me for anything after this, but I still see them trading stuff. The other card vendor, one of the girls from that card vendor, it was a girl and a guy. She comes walking past later, and she's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, doing good. Y'all done well this weekend, profit margin wise? And they're like, no, we're doing great. And we're yapping about some stuff because she's looking through like my games and stuff, my cards. And then I go, hey, quick question. Did you happen to trade anything with these 2 kids that were running around? And she goes, yeah, we got a whole bunch of Funko Pops from them. And so I'm asking, like, hey, what did you trade? What was your trade quest in it? What NPC role did you fulfill in this one? And so yeah, I was a quest NPC to these kids. It's great. And she's like, I mean, we got this. They brought this really weird EA bag up to me, and I'm like, I don't want this. And so I just kind of cover my face, and I'm like, and she sees me like giving this weird look, and she's like, why? What's up? And I'm like, they got the EA bag for me. And she bust out laughing. We are just like, just having such a good time, like talking about what these kids had tried to do with this. Like obviously they weren't trying to like shortchange anybody. They were just like, they were trying to do this like trade up and get more value for stuff. And it was working. It was working for a hot minute. And it just, like I said, all of a sudden the kid discovered gambling and was just like, oh, it's all downhill from here, folks. So gamble responsibly. That's take it from a gotcha addict. But it was just so funny. I'm like, so then I'm like, who the hell did they trade the EA bag to? My brain starts going, like trying to remember what other stuff I saw that they had. I'm like trying to connect the dots of what got traded for what. And that was just so funny to me. I love that entire exchange. Listen, the kids were like really nice, really polite and everything. And I just, like I said, they discovered gambling and it just never was the same again. And that was great. So, oh man, nothing else super crazy for Sunday. Nothing else like out of the ordinary, but this event was really, really good. I want to work with Anime Paradaisu much more in the future. My profits were great. My expenditures were very low, and I got to see a lot of friends that I haven't seen in years. I got to talk to a lot of people, establish a lot of new connections, and also by talking to a lot of people in there that I'd seen before, I actually am now set up at some point once I get the information for 2 more events that are happening later this year. So it's just a matter of checking with those people once they know it, once they know the exact like time and day and everything of those events. Other event organizers were like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this?" And I said, "Yes, please sign me up. 1,000% I want to be part of these different events." And like I said, it's just talking with them and just being what I hope is a respectable, honest, good person. They're like, "Hey, we see that you're doing a good job of this. You seem like a good guy. We want you at our event." And I hope that's true. I hope somewhere that's actually true, and it really does my heart good to hear that kind of thing. And I'm very, very happy for that. So because of that, talking to other vendors and stuff, I got invited to 2 other events that are happening later this year. 2 more than I had before the event started. So that's something major. It's just, I got to get the information for that and make certain that it doesn't overlap with like some other events that I'm also trying to reach out for. So there is always like there's a possibility it might fall through. I really hope it doesn't, but some of them I want to set aside the time and be like, I'm dedicated to doing this particular event type thing. So it just depends. Anyway, sorry. Rambling over for that one. All in all, great weekend. I got to spend it with friends and family as well. My brother Zen, his family. I just get to see my niece. She's just so sweet. Hanging out with Uncle Kade. Just very, very, it feels really weird. I'm certified Unc, but I got back home very safe. Everything's good, and rest of the week is going to be trying to go through stuff and trying to plan for the event in 2 weeks and just get ready for some other future events coming up, as well as some videos coming down the pipeline like this one and a couple other things that I'm wanting to do. For anyone who stuck around this long, thank you very much. I do greatly appreciate it. Once again, big shout outs to Space Cowboy for hooking me up with manga and a whole bunch of other giveaway stuff. It's just really, really appreciated. Hooking me up with other people in the Discord, hooking me up with product. I know No Soup for You Too has helped me pick up a bunch of like deck boxes and other stuff in the past, play mats and stuff like that. That's gonna be a big thing at the TCG one coming up. So I gotta make certain I'm ready to bring all those. So and everyone else in the Discord that's helped me with any of that, I just thank you so much, and it's been just a blessing to work with all of you. A blessing to work with everybody. Anyway, more videos coming down the pipeline and some streams as well. That's going to be another really, really big thing, is some stuff that I want to live stream and some stuff that I want to watch, maybe even do some React stuff, because one of the big things I know coming up for Weiss is we have the Manchester regionals in the UK. That is going to be live streamed, and I want to watch that as it's happening, because I know wonderful friend of the channel, Weiss and Chill, also known as Hololive TCG and Chill, is going to be one of the commentators for it. He's going to be one of the people talking about it, casting for it. I think that's what the term that he used. Basically commentating on the games and talking about stuff and everything. So that's going to be really cool. I want to see him do well with that. So I'm very happy for him to have that opportunity. And we do know other people going as well that we want to cheer on. So stuff coming down the pipeline for that will be really cool. But yeah, we will be signing off. Thank you very much for watching. We greatly appreciate it as always. Remember to stay safe and as always, stay based.